Money moves, but never as fast as we want it to. Behind every transfer, every settlement, there's friction. And for decades, we've all been waiting for someone to finally fix it.
Everyone can see it, and everyone can trust it's accurate, all without needing some central bank or authority to check everything. This is the tool that could finally solve that problem of financial friction. While the crypto world has been shouting about decentralization, Google has been quietly building something in the shadows, a blockchain of its own. But this isn't Bitcoin, and it's not built for you.
So while the crypto world has been busy building public ledgers, Google has been quietly working on something completely different, a brand new blockchain designed from the ground up inside Google. But here's the kicker, this is not for regular people. It's for the very institutions struggling with that friction. Let's meet the Google Cloud Universal Ledger.
It's permissioned, it's for institutions, and Google shows up with three massive advantages: world-class infrastructure, a huge list of existing clients, and neutral granting. This combination is an incredibly powerful threat. Google has the deep pockets to potentially do in a few years what crypto-native projects have struggled with for a decade. They call it the Google Cloud Universal Ledger, GCUL, a permissioned blockchain designed not for individuals, but for the biggest players in global finance. And it could change everything.
All right, let's get into it. We all know Google, right? That simple white page, the search box, it's pretty much the front door to the internet for most of us, a daily habit. But what if I told you that underneath that super familiar interface, there's a much, much bigger story playing out? A quiet, strategic game that could be even bigger than organizing all the world's information.
I mean, seriously, you've almost certainly used it in the last 24 hours. Maybe you were looking up a recipe, checking the weather, or, settling one of those who is in that movie debates with a friend. Google has become a reflex. We don't even think about it anymore. And that's kind of the whole point. It all started with just one simple thing.
And a couple of PhD students at Stanford, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, had this revolutionary idea for their research project, which was codenamed Backrub. They thought, what if you could rank web pages not just by what's on them, but by how many other pages linked to them? It sounds simple now, but that one concept, well, it was about to change everything.
But see, that brilliant idea of ranking links, that was really just the first step on a much longer journey. Their ambition was always way bigger than just a search engine. So let's peek behind the curtain, beyond that search box, to see what the real mission was from day one.
And there it is, the mission statement that kicked this whole thing off. Just think about the scale of that. It wasn't just about indexing websites. It was about bringing order to the complete chaos of the digital universe. This single sentence laid the foundation for an entire empire.
Yeah, as powerful as that mission was, it turned out to be the perfect launchpad for something way, way more expansive. Because when you organize information, you create this incredible gravitational pull. You attract users, you attract data, and with that comes immense, almost unimaginable opportunity.
And to pull off a mission that huge, organizing everything, you can't just write some clever code. Nope. You have to build a physical, planet-spanning empire, a true empire of infrastructure.
And you can literally watch that empire get built in a few key moments. In 2004, you get Gmail, which offered a whole gigabyte of storage when everyone else was offering like a tiny fraction of that. Then in 2006, they snatch up YouTube, seeing the future of video way ahead of the curve. And in 2008, boom, Android. They put their entire ecosystem into billions of pockets around the world. Every single step was a massive land grab for more data.
So here's the crucial part. To actually power all of this stuff, the endless searches, all that email, every cat video, every single Android phone, Google had to build one of the most powerful and efficient computer networks on Earth. And almost as a side effect of organizing the world's information, they created what we now know as Google Cloud.
And please, don't think of this as some little side project. The scale here is just staggering. Look at this. In just the second quarter of 2024, Google Cloud pulled in over $10 billion. That's billion with a B. They are an absolute titan in the cloud wars, which means they have the hardware, the security, and the global reach to make their next really, really big move.
And believe it or not, that next move has nothing to do with information. It's about something much older and way more complicated. Value. Money.
Just think about it for a second. For all the amazing tech we have, the backbone of global finance can be incredibly clunky.
When big banks and institutions try to move huge sums of value around, it's bogged down by layers of verification, complex compliance rules, and endless reconciliation. The whole system is just full of friction. It's slow and it's expensive. Okay, so this is where a new kind of technology comes into play. You've probably heard of blockchain, right? Well, the core idea behind it is called distributed ledger technology, or DLT. The simplest way to think about it is like a shared digital notebook. Everyone in the network has a copy, everyone can see it, and everyone can trust it's accurate, all without needing some central bank or authority to check everything. This is the tool that could finally solve that problem of financial friction.
So, while the crypto world has been busy for years building all these public, open ledgers that anyone can use, Google has been very, very quietly working on something completely different in the background.
So what is this grand plan? How does a company that built its empire on search suddenly get into the business of moving money?
Well, at its core, it is a brand new blockchain, one designed from the ground up inside Google for a very specific purpose. But here's the kicker. Unlike Bitcoin or Ethereum, you're not going to be buying coins for this or running some app on your phone. This is not for regular people. It's for the very institutions, the banks, the big finance companies that are struggling with all that financial friction we just talked about. So, let's meet the Google Cloud Universal Ledger, or GCUL. Let's break this down real quick. First, it's permissioned, which is a fancy way of saying you have to be invited and identified to use it. Think banks and major fintechs. Second, it's designed for institutional use, and developers can access it through a simple API, which makes it super easy for Google's existing cloud clients to just plug right in. And maybe most importantly, Google is positioning it as credibly neutral, like a shared public utility, not some product from a rival bank.
And hey, this isn't just some idea on a whiteboard. The GCUL is already being tested in pilot programs with absolute heavy hitters, like the CME Group, one of the biggest financial derivatives exchanges in the entire world. They're aiming for a launch as soon as 2026. This isn't a what if, it's a when, and it's happening fast.
So, what does this mean for all the crypto projects that have been trying to solve this exact same problem for the last decade? Let's put GCUL side by side with a well-known player in this space, Ripple. Now, Ripple is crypto native, and they've been building partnerships for years. But Google shows up with three massive, maybe unbeatable advantages right out of the gate. It runs on its own world-class infrastructure, it can be easily offered to its huge list of existing cloud and fintech clients, and that neutral branding makes it much less threatening for competing financial firms to actually adopt. And as BTC points out here, that combination is an incredibly powerful threat. I mean, Google has the deep pockets and the existing relationships to potentially do in just a few years what many of these crypto-native projects have been struggling to do for a decade: get real, mainstream institutional buy-in. Which, believe it or not, brings us all the way back to where we started. A simple idea in a dorm room that grew into a global empire. So let's just remember that original mission one more time. The goal that launched this whole thing was about making sense of data, of facts, of knowledge, of information. And that, right there, is the heart of this entire story. Google's Quiet Gambit is a direct evolution of its original mission. They're making the leap from organizing bits and bytes to organizing digital assets, securities, and currencies. They are literally building the underlying rails to make value flow just as easily and instantly as information does when you type something into a Google search.
And that just leaves us with one final kind of mind-blowing question. A company that started in a garage set out to organize all the world's information, and you could argue they pretty much succeeded. If they now succeed in organizing the world's value, if they become the fundamental plumbing for the entire global financial system, what's next? What else is even left?
Google set out to organize the world's information and won. If they now succeed in organizing the world's value, what else is even left? Which brings us back to where it all started. Google's original mission, to organize the world's information. Their Quiet Gambit is a direct evolution of that. They're making the leap from organizing bits and bytes to organizing value itself. They are building the underlying rails to make value flow as easily as a Google search. A company that started in a garage set out to organize all the world's information. If they now succeed in organizing the world's value, what's next?